Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy Anthony Esparza here, and I'm ready to finally kick off my new YouTube channel. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who's been subscribing, liking my introduction video, all the messages I've been getting on Instagram and on Facebook. I really do appreciate it. This has been a long time coming, and I honestly can't wait to just kick this fucking thing off. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start my new YouTube channel with a video talking about my potentially new favorite DCEU movie. That's right, folks. I'm talking about James Wan's Aquaman. Aquaman was released on December 21st, 2018, and so far I've seen the movie not once, not twice, but 3 times. Ew, what the fuck? 3 times. My weird fucking sausage fingers.
That was the worst pep talk ever.
I've seen Aquaman about 3 times. Absolutely loved it. I talked a little bit about it on a recent episode of my podcast, Rockin' Comics, episode 53, which you guys can check out. Click the link in the description box below to check out the full episode. So I talked a little bit about the movie, and I wanted to get a little bit more in-depth with my thoughts on it. I have a couple friends of mine who have pretty much asked me, why have I seen Aquaman so many times? For me, 3 times is a lot, and considering seeing it a 4th time. I'm gonna start off with the tone of the film. The tone of the film is one of the reasons I'm in love with this movie. Aquaman is a throwback to the 90s era action movies, just from the get-go alone. Right when Aquaman enters that submarine and Black Manta and his dad, or who would eventually become Black Manta later on in the movie, and his dad are pirates and they're taking over the ship, and you have Jason Momoa just come in and he kicks off the movie with probably the cheesiest line in the movie, which is permission to come aboard.
Permission to come aboard.
And I absolutely loved it from there. There were some really cool camera angles. There was a specific shot where Aquaman's fighting a dude and he throws the dude against the wall of the submarine, but the camera kind of shifts, and it's a really cool scene. I also loved the fight scene between Aquaman and Black Manta. I thought that was a great scene. When Black Manta comes up with a sword coming out of his arm, just and getting ready to murk the dude. It was just sweet. I absolutely loved it. As the film went on, the tone kind of fluctuated between a 90s action movie tone to more of a swashbuckling kind of pirate Indiana Jones kind of movie. There was definitely a big Indiana Jones influence in this movie that I caught. I want to get into Atlantis because when I saw Black Panther last year, it was a situation where I'd never seen this kind of world before, and it was really cool to see Wakanda in a way where we haven't seen it, where it's very jungle oriented but at the same time technologically advanced. Aquaman had more of a Tron approach. If you've seen the movie Tron, especially Tron Legacy, you kind of know what I'm talking about, especially the bridge to Atlantis where Jason Momoa is basically asked, oh, why is there a bridge? It's kind of pointless, we're all swimming, and Mera says, well, it's more of an homage to what their world originally was, and also kind of helps keep everybody in line and see who's actually coming in. And it's a really cool sequence. It's one of my favorite sequences in the film. I want to get into James Wan's direction. James Wan, director of Saw, director of The Conjuring 1 and 2, director of Fast 7, Furious 7, whichever fucking Fast and Furious movie it was. The one where it was Paul Walker's last movie. James Wan has become one of my favorite filmmakers because I just love how he fluctuates the tone, and that really does show in Aquaman. You see him kind of moving tones, but there's no big shifts in the tone. It just kind of moves a little bit. Probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie is the trench scene, which is where you really see James Wan's horror element. You see his approach to horror films and scary movies, and especially like The Conjuring. Absolutely loved the look of the trench, by the way. Loved the Kingdom of the Trench. That whole sequence was just amazing. And it was one of those sequences that I felt I needed more of, and I wanted to see more of these creatures. And I did like that they gave us such a little amount. They only really had like less than 5 minutes screen time, I believe, but I really want to see more of the trench in the sequel. I want to get into Jason Momoa's performance as Aquaman. Jason Momoa pulls off that badass hero very well. I remember seeing that first picture, I believe it was back in 2014, where Zack Snyder released the first picture of Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and he looked gritty and dark, and he had like gray scales, and it was just a really cool picture. And that instantly I fell in love with the look of Aquaman. This Aquaman is a completely different approach to that. This Aquaman is colorful. He gets his classic green and gold suit, and it's just amazing the way they textured in. Oh god, I lost my shit. I really did enjoy Jason Momoa's portrayal as Arthur Curry in this movie. I just loved the whole fun surfer bro vibe of it. Very, very different from that first picture we got. Overall, I just really enjoyed what Momoa brought to the table. Let's get into Amber Heard as Mera. Mera is pretty much pitch perfect as far as adapting from the comic book. Everything from the look of Mera to just like the vibe. Like, she comes off as very adventurous, very strong, very powerful, very confident, and you don't really get a sense of like a damsel in distress from her. I did like how they treated Amber Heard and her character as Mera in Aquaman. Patrick Wilson as Orm I thought was great. He wasn't like this psychotic Heath Ledger style Joker. He wasn't like Killmonger from last year's Black Panther. He actually came out very mature in his approach and in his reasoning for wanting to go to war with the Surfer World, which I thought was great. I really did enjoy the fact that they gave us a villain that we can kind of relate to a little bit in that sense. Also did not get any cheese factor from him. He kind of was consistent in his performance, and I really enjoyed that from him. Let's talk about Black Manta. Black Manta is probably my favorite character in the movie. I took my son to go see it the second and third time, and he absolutely loved Black Manta too. I love the costume of Black Manta. I loved the performance. I don't want to butcher the actor's name because I cannot say that name, and I apologize. So that's why I'm just saying Black Manta. But I really enjoyed how Black Manta was also treated in this movie too. I did like that they had two villains in this movie with Orm and with Black Manta, but Black Manta didn't really take over. He had one scene that really showcased his power and showcased his training and, you know, all that, his fighting skills and all that good stuff. But you never really got too into his character. They gave you a small backstory, but just enough that if they threw him in the sequel, you won't have to explain too much of why Black Manta hates Aquaman. You completely understand it already in this movie. So the next movie, if he's introduced, you can just, bam, go for it. Just run with it. Kind of like what they did in Thor Ragnarok. Before I rate this movie, I just want to say that I have been a big fan of what the DCEU has brought us. I've been a big fan of what Warner Brothers has brought us. Man of Steel is still one of my favorite comic book films of all time. I'm one of the few people that actually did enjoy Batman v Superman, specifically the Ultimate Cut, which I recommend you get. I did enjoy Wonder Woman, and I enjoyed the first 45 minutes of Suicide Squad. I do feel that Aquaman is the film that Warner Brothers needed to make in order to save their universe and in order to give them some kind of viable competition against Marvel. I do feel that Aquaman saved the DC film universe, and it is a film that we did need, and I'm super excited for Shazam coming out this year. It's already 2019, and we're going to get so many superhero movies, and one of the superhero movies I cannot wait for is Shazam, but that's because of Aquaman and how the character was treated, how the humor was treated, the cheese, the dialogue, the writing, the action. I love that it wasn't a super serious, gritty, dark Batman-style movie. I love that it was just a fun movie, and that's kind of what I want from Shazam as well. I'm not saying every DC film has to be like this. Of course, a Batman movie does kind of need to be a little darker and grittier, but I think that this movie opens up that fantasy element that the DC films have been missing for quite a while now, and the optimism and the hope and just the color and emotion and visual effects and everything. I just cannot wait to see what the DC universe has to bring forward coming up in the next couple of years. As far as rating Aquaman, let's go ahead, let's rate Aquaman. For me, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. For me, I'm gonna go ahead and give Aquaman an 8 out of 10. Completely enjoyed it. There were some trouble spots here and there. I didn't quite agree with the middle of the movie. Didn't like the fact that they threw a Pitbull song in there. Threw the tone off just a little bit. James Wan, what the fuck are you thinking? But what really saved the movie for me, and if it hadn't been for the ending, this movie probably would have gotten maybe a 6 out of 10. But I just loved the ending of this movie so much. The ending of this movie is pretty much the reason why I've seen it 2 more times than from the first time I've seen it. And I absolutely enjoyed the spectacle of the ending. I like that we didn't see too much of that in the marketing as well. Do I recommend Aquaman? Hell yes, I do recommend Aquaman. I think you guys should run out and go see it right now if you already haven't. If you already have, go check it out again. This is a movie that you want to see in IMAX. This is a movie that you want to see on a big screen, not just on your phone and not just, you know, on your TV or whatever. All right, guys, so whether you agreed with me or not, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Make sure to give the videos a thumbs up. Please don't give it a thumbs down, but if you give it a thumbs down, that's okay. Lets me know how you guys are feeling about the videos. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the bell button so you don't miss any upcoming videos as well. You get them right when I upload them. And I'll be seeing you guys again very soon. Yeah!